my journey. Okay, so I just picked up my first Sparky order, right? I did not pay attention to how to, pay and bag and any of that stuff, because I thought it was, common sense. It's really what I thought. I was like, oh, it's just going to be common sense, right? And what I was seeing was, I did watch somebody do a Spark order, and he was doing one Spark order at a time. And so because it's prepaid, you don't have to, have a card like you do with, Uber and DoorDash. So I was confused. I was very confused. So the guy who put the stuff in my car, he was like, well, how it goes is, if you might have like up to 4 orders, and it would go from right behind you to the trunk, to the other side, to the front seat, like that, like counterclockwise. And then he said, but sometimes, when you have like a whole bunch of small orders, it could be, kind of where you want them to be, because you might have to batch them up. And so he was very, informative as far as, what he knew, which was, bringing the bags out. The order that I took is strictly one resident, right? I have to start small, right? And once I get one done, then I'm like, yeah, I think I can move up to maybe 2 or 3 orders, pick up. But I didn't want to not pick up. That's one thing I didn't want to do, because I came out here, to learn, this new thing. So, yeah. And even though it's one order, it's like about 35 items. And I'm going like about 12 miles north. So it'll be all right though, because kind of like what I was doing with Uber, was like, at first it was, just take your time, learn what you have to learn. And the sad part about it was, well, not the sad part, but the ironic part about it is I didn't start making getting confused until I was in the habit of just doing the basics, right? It was like, wow, here you are, you've been doing Uber for months now, and now you having problems? It's like, yeah, there was just certain orders that I accepted, and that's all that I accepted, and nothing else, right? Such as when I first started doing deliveries, Uber Eats, you just pick up the order, and then, that's it. You will drop it off. And then, then they had the shop right? And sometimes you had, it would tell you, well, you have to have, the card. You have to have the Pro card in order to shop. And it was like, oh, do I have a Pro card? How do I apply for a Pro card? And then sometimes you don't need it, right? And I think the one that kind of really, messed with my head was the QR code. Yeah. Whew. So I feel pretty good about, starting off here. And the guy was saying, he was struggling. He was thinking about doing DoorDash. And I told him, I said, well, today's my first day doing Spark because, Uber, the trips have been upside down. And I had to explain to him what upside down was, meaning that, it would take you too long to get to a certain destination. And, upside down. More miles than pay. More time than what you're worth. That's what upside down means. So, like, if, it's going to take you 30 minutes to do a $7 order, then basically you're working for, like, technically you're kind of working for $14 an hour, technically. Or if you're going, like this order would have been kind of what I would consider upside down because I'm going 12 miles and I'm only getting $10. Okay? But because I'm learning, I just wanted to do a single order where I didn't have to shop. I can just pick up the order, go drop it off, and that will count as my first order. Because for me, unless you're really good at winging it, then, there's always a little bit of apprehension, like, damn, am I doing this right? Is this the way it's supposed to be done? I didn't know that there were certificates that you can get from the app. And, yeah. But I've been out here, and I have went to the left over there, went to Lavon Reservoir, had considered, that might be one of the places I would go and camp, because they have a campground out there. Ooh, look at all this traffic. This is a lot of traffic. I've been watching the orders. I've been trying to, figure it out, didn't quite understand how the shopping situation goes. I would like to do a very small shopping order today, before I decide, to call it a day. And one thing I noticed, there are always some gas stations out here with cheaper gas. might stop off and top off my gas tank or not, you know. But yeah, I'm out here on the countryside now. Yep. But thankfully it's only 82 degrees out and the sun hasn't come up blaring UV rays, right? So it says 7 more minutes. So, and it's supposed to be a house. Okay, it's supposed to be a house. And me, I will back up into a person's, you know, driveway. If they have a front driveway, yes, I will pull up into that front driveway so that I ain't got to break my back with the groceries. I will. But I did bring a couple of carts just in case, you know, I ran across like some heavy and gang of items and stuff where I can just, you know, put it all together and just do one trip and then skedaddle out of there. So, and I'm sure there's some type of procedure once you drop it off. I'm supposing it's going to be a picture. I'm supposing. Because that's what, you know, that's the notification that I get, you know, that it's been delivered and there's a picture. So we'll see. But it's beautiful country out here. Yeah, I'm like out in the boonies for real, okay? Okay, it was easy peasy. They did have a front driveway. The customer was out front with the passcode, so it all went very well, smooth. And I'm glad that, you know, my first one was smooth, right? And you do have to scan the barcode of the package, right? But since, you know, they put all 5, you know, on one scanner, you didn't have to do each and every bag. Like when I was picking up from Albertsons, right? Albertsons, they will make you scan. They will label and scan each and every bag. And you had to scan them when you pick them up and scan them when you drop them off. So I feel pretty good about, you know, the fact that this went smooth. It went smooth. I feel good about that. It was way out here, but I didn't have to carry, you know, the stuff very far, and you know, it was just two loads from the car to the door, and the lady was really nice. So I know the one thing that I had learned when I was doing Uber Eats is you need to be within 10 minutes of the pickup location. Otherwise, you know, the chances are you're going to get a complaint. You're going to get a complaint. And that complaint may give the customer reason to reduce your tip. So that's why right now I'm like, don't try to have an order waiting for you to show up, because I'm doing stop and go traffic on this 2-lane highway right now. I haven't seen a 2-lane highway in a minute, right? But yeah, it's out here by this beautiful lake, Lavon. Yeah, it's beautiful out here. It gives you that remote feeling, but you're not too far from civilization. You know. So yeah, the orders have stopped. So I decided to do a Uber, and going to Kroger's to pick up an item and deliver that. Hopefully, if I have to pay, I hope that my card still works. But we'll see, right? We'll see. Okay, this is the one that gets me. So I'm over there in Murphy, right? And the order that I got, it is all the way over here in Plano. Alright, I had to go George Bush Freeway. Okay? This is what I don't like about sometimes these Uber orders. It's just ridiculous. Especially when it's food. You have to pick up way over in another county, several cities over, and yeah. And I can't even remember how much this thing was for. I don't even think it was for that much. But maybe they'll tip good. Huh? Let's see.